So the question is on the Jordans.
Yes.
Like, street value gets hurt when you're wearing them.
Yeah.
Because they can't be collectible. But if you watch, people are wearing them all the time. So do you, which way does it go?
I try to wear them once a month because it's the look. I don't want to get them dirty. And as soon as I take them off, I'm scraping them. I have like the little whiteouts, whatever, and I'm wiping them down.
Really?
Yeah, so I wear it once a month. The same thing with Air Force Ones. The all white ones.
Right.
Once a month.
Don't ever knock sneaker culture. It's real.
Listen,
it's huge money. It's unbelievable.
I'm not going to drop $100 plus on some shoes and not wear them. That's not happening. But to preserve the look, once a month or twice a month. That's just me.
But if you're going to get into this world, you're dropping way more than $100 on a pair of sneakers. It's Demetrius Minor.
120, and I got a plug. If you want some Jordans, let me know.
Oh,
I got a plug.
Someone's got a contact.
I got a contact.
Let's get into this conversation.
Let's get into it, Tony.
The death penalty, I know it's a weird segue, but that's actually what we came to talk about. The death penalty is actually a fascinating debate amongst conservatives.
It is.
And it has been for a while. Now, you do work with conservatives concerned about the death penalty. I'm actually reading it off your card to make sure that I got it right. As I said, Demetrius Minor here. We're at RedState.com during CPAC 2022 in Orlando, Florida. The debate goes as follows, if I understand it properly. Someone who does something egregious, there must be a penalty.
Sure.
And the other side of it is we should not be the party or the philosophy that favors killing. Now, I have a different point of view on both of those, but what is the view of your group, conservatives concerned about the death penalty?
So, Tony, I know it's a very complex issue, but here is how conservatives can get on board. 3 reasons why. Number one, let's just look at it in the lens of big government, right?
Wait, before anything, this is about opposition to the death penalty.
Opposition.
Okay, wait.
For total repeal. Tony, I don't trust the government to give me updated COVID numbers. I don't trust the government to handle the deficit. I don't trust the government to balance the budget. Why would I trust big government with a matter of life and death?
What if I say to you, this isn't a big government conversation. This is a jury of your peers who are making a decision. Isn't that a different argument?
It's expanding the size and the scope of government. It's giving the state too much power. But when we talk about, I'm glad you mentioned about the jury and the peers, because this brings to my second point. This is a fiscal issue, right? The money that is being spent on the death penalty. For example, in the state of Maryland, before they repealed the death penalty, they spent $185 million on a handful of executions. $185 million. What if we were to say, let's take that money and let's give it for resources for law enforcement? Let's also give it to the local communities to address violence prevention, public health, safety. So, in a sense, federalism. Letting the state determine how that money should be allocated instead of executing people. And then third, which is really personal for me, is pro-life. I'm pro-life from the womb to the tomb. So when I talk about pro-life, I'm not just talking about the unborn, but I'm talking about the totality of life. Even those lives that are lived drastically different than mine.
So it's an interesting argument to argument number 2. Right, argument number 3, I understand, right? That's one of the arguments. My argument has always been, you can't get it wrong. When you talk about getting the death penalty wrong, right, and you execute somebody, and then you find DNA evidence X number of days, weeks, months, years later, that is inexcusable stuff.
It's the only punishment that is irreversible.
So
if you get it wrong, there's no taking it back.
And we've seen states, I think Ohio has a moratorium on the death penalty, and you see this in others. I get that. I'm actually, you don't know this, I'm a supporter of that idea until we really hash this out. But I got to tell you, if you tell me that it's a fiscal issue and you can save $185 million, someone else can argue, you know what, it's $185 million well spent. So it is a disagreement to that point, and it again goes back to the states. But I'm curious about where you're hearing the divide from conservatives. What are they telling you when you come with this message?
Actually, more and more conservatives are gravitating towards repealing the death penalty or they're expressing some concerns about it, okay? So I want to bring up 3 states. Virginia. Virginia repealed the death penalty in the spring of 2021, just last year.
Right.
They did it with Republican support. New Hampshire in 2019, overwhelming Republican legislature. 40% of Republican legislative support voted to override a veto from a Republican governor.
Governor Sununu.
You're correct. And then in the when Colorado repealed the death penalty, it was because of Republican support. You mentioned Ohio. I'm glad you did. Ohio is positioning itself to repeal the death penalty. They have 2 companion bills in the House and the Senate, 103 and 183. The primary co-sponsor is former Congressman Gene Schmidt, who is now a state representative. They are positioning themselves to repeal the death penalty. Ohio is a bellwether state, as you know. The hope is that if Ohio repeals the death penalty, it's going to create a domino effect amongst red states. Utah came 1 vote shy in their committee of repealing the death penalty in a deep red state. So the trend is actually showing that conservative Republicans want to see the death penalty repealed.
Where can people go and get more information?
www.conservativesconcern.org.
Conservativesconcern.org. Demetrius Minor. And
Tony, it's been a pleasure.
If you can't see the kicks that he's wearing,
Let
the
him
Jordans,
show him.
No. Can you tilt down?
Right there.
Tilt down. He's wearing the Jordans. You can't just get that anywhere. Try and get that from Larry O'Connor or Kurt Schlichter. Won't happen. Not a shot.
That's right.
Right there.
Conservatives have swag too. Let them know.
That's all.
Let them know.
Damn, son.